Hello everybody, welcome back to our free online art classes. Today we are going to continue the two projects that we started last time. But before I get started, let me just do a little introduction for those of you that are watching for the first time or are going to be watching for the first time. So we're a nonprofit organization, the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach, based out of Long Beach, California, and we offer cultural, creative events, art classes, music classes, art shows, music shows, cultural celebrations, and things like that. Due to the health situation, as you may already know, we're streaming live on Facebook our art classes. Thank you to the folks at the Cultural Alliance that keep it going, to the people out there that support us. So if you're watching us and you are new, so that's a little bit about us. My name is Efren Luna with the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach, also with Art, Music, and Culture. I normally organize the art shows, curate the art exhibitions here at the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach. But we're not having art exhibitions at the moment, at least open to the public. So that's the reason why we're doing this. Make sure you check out the prior videos. I think this is video number 5, or probably more, but we've been doing this for like at least a month or more, every Friday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I'm going to kind of recap on some of the projects. So this one's our first one. It's a drawing that we did. And it was based on the grid technique, cutting little squares and things like that. So this was our first one. I put it in a nice little frame here, and I left the grid marks just so that people can see the process. So this was our first one. So let's quickly go to our second one. I believe was this one. This is a landscape. So I'll kind of hold this up for a little bit. Yeah. So this one was out of memory, just creativity. There was no plan, nothing. Nothing like no prior drawing per se, right? Just kind of like working from memory. And I went and retouched some of the details. I added. It's. I don't want to get into the critique of it, but it's kind of interesting. A lot of contrast with the colors versus the darks. So there's a theme there, and I'm not sure how that came about. It was just kind of like on the spot, but it worked visually. For me, and this is what I did. A lot of you guys followed. You follow our prior videos, and you can see how we did this from scratch. So this was, I believe, our second project. Our third project was this. Kind of started with random lines that were sketched on by another person, and then it made me like just kind of create this, right? I talked about how this reminds me of the little character from Frozen 2, but the other one's blue, this one's red, and then there's another one right here. So it's a lot of warm colors, right? The idea with this is kind of to let loose and just kind of work from imagination. And if things are not working out, you can wipe them down and start again, or add, not be afraid, just kind of break loose. And so that's a wrap for our finished paintings. The ones that I started last session, and you are probably, if you're coming back, this is the one that one of the two that we started. As you can see here, I'll put it closer to the camera. I'll leave it here for a little bit so you can see, and I'll kind of like explain a little bit about. So this is what we're going to work on. I mean, some people like it as it is, and Some people like it as it is, and I kind of like it too. You know, I am. ¿Puedes bajar la cámara hasta que cubra lo de abajo? So I like it as it is. The only thing that I'm not too happy with is this marks that are like really. I kind of like how it's kind of like see-through, you know, like this code over this you know, this markings. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm trying to promote this as we speak since we're live. So if you see me looking to the side, I'm trying to promote it so we get more people and interactions. But this, I was saying, this green parts right here, I'm not too happy with them, but I did made it on purpose, because I was explaining how if the prior layer of paint is wet and you try to change up the color or even add another layer, it would smear, you know, it's kind of like a wet onto wet. It's very great for watercolor, but these are acrylics, and it didn't work, but I just did it to show you that it didn't work. But you know, aside from that, like everything else looks kind of uniform. So I'm gonna color the drawing today, right? So this is what we're going to work on. So if you did a drawing, I guided you step by step how to do the letters. So if you can see here, this is the L, kind of like a handwritten style L, the O, like a regular O, a V, like a check mark, right? A little smaller on this side, and then a lowercase e, love. Just wanted to, the idea for this project was to show you a style of, a different style, you know, a different style, kind of like more of a graphs, arts type of thing, you know. So this project is, so you could have chosen any word. Love is a very positive word, you know. We need a lot of that today. You could also do your name. You can also do another positive word like hope, like, you know, peace, things like that. Anyway, so I chose love. You're welcome to choose the same word. There's a process as to how to go about filling in the spaces. And I did it with a Sharpie just so you can see, but I kind of like the outcome. So today I'm going to color this, and really quickly I'm going to show you the other project, because I started 2 projects last time, and while the letters were drying, I started this other one inspired by one of the masks that we have here at the gallery. So this one is not straight from memory, but inspired by an actual art piece from one of our community members that they did here. So this session is going to be pretty much just coloring, working, applying color. You know, if you have your projects, send us a picture, give us a comment. This is, I believe, our 5th video, maybe even 6. I'm not too certain, but at least 4, maybe 5. You know, I know 5 for sure. The whole quarantine, we've been doing this for the community. All right, so that's a lot of talking. Now let's get to work. And I started a little bit late today, so I may stay a little bit longer to make up. But nevertheless, you can rewatch the videos. So as you can see, puedes ponerla para la pintura. Okay. Muy bien. So if you're watching us, and I'm gonna color this, right? So I'm gonna just get a brush. You know, so you're gonna need colors, specifically cool colors. You know, I'd have a little bit of warm colors, and I talked about the difference between warm and cool. Warm is kind of like reminding you of fire, like hot, like red, yellow, orange. And cool are blue, green, make you think of like grass, like water, you know, kind of that. So there's 2 spectrums of colors, like, you know, the warm versus the cool. but I didn't want to get too technical and, you know, talk about the color wheel, things like that. But if you pick up a color wheel, you can see that. Rainbow is also like a good example of like how the colors move in order, like colors that are related and they start changing by relationship. So, well, I'm gonna start with the blue. Let's just get to that. Let's see. I'm experimenting. I have the only plan I had was the drawing, right? The drawing that I started with. So I'm gonna start coloring, and I'll try to stay. Basically, we're just coloring, right? So if you have your drawing from last time, bring it on, and get to it. You know. Another thing that I've also been doing with the prior projects, it's really like, honestly, it's hard to finish a painting in like 2 hours, and you know, while you're also talking and things like that. So it's really challenging, but that's true of any art project. You know, it takes longer. So I've been working on it off camera on the other projects. This one I didn't because it was wet and it was drying. But you should be working, you know, if you're not following us live, or if you're just starting while you're watching this video, you know, after we cut the transmission, you should still be working on it. You know, maybe, you know, not necessarily that same moment, but what I mean is like you continue working, you know, and that's what you do. You just keep at it. Keep at it. To have two folks live, I have a monitor on the left side of me, so I keep looking over there to, you know, if you're watching us, send us a shout out. But I'm coloring, you know, and so I chosen to color the blue, or started with blue, and I started to color in the shapes that kind of look like eyeballs, right? Like kind of like slanted. But this color is pretty straight out of the bottom, right? So it's kind of too strong. Like that's one of the things that you'll learn when you start painting more. You know, the colors straight out of the bottom are very obvious, at least for people who are also painters, artists, you know, and it gives you that feeling like, oh, that's straight out of the bottle, you know. Like, so, but you want to change that. You want to make the viewer think beyond that, you know. And you got to use good brushes. This is not a good example of a good brush, but this is what we have here. This brush is really old and beat up, and it leaves like this scratchy, you know, texture. But, you know, this brush could be useful for other things, you know, like, let's say that I was trying to do like a landscape, right? I'll do an example. All right, so shout out to people watching us. Yayo watching us? No? I saw Yayo on my monitor over here. Maybe there's just a notification. ¿Tenemos comentarios, Alan?
Ajá,
Sí?
Miriam Roger.
All right, so let me actually make this monitor big. Yep, so let's see. So this brush, like, what you want to do with, like, right now we don't want to be too strict, you know. The idea is to be creative. Mariah Rogers, thank you for watching us. Hello from Wyoming. I'm just starting today. Watercolor the background. Very good question. It feels like watercolor, right? You could do watercolor if you want. What I did is we have acrylic paint here at the gallery, but I water it down so much that it looks like, and I work like wet brush. So yes, it's the same feeling, or similar, I should say, but not, you know, not the same. So yeah. So from your question, looks to me like you're familiar with watercolor, you know. So yeah, you know, so it is acrylic, but you could do watercolor, and the idea is that you can use color pencils, you know, thank you guys for the likes. I see a bunch of hearts and thumbs up coming up. You know, I appreciate that. Use what you have. Some people only have color pencils at home, you know, so use color pencils, you know. But I was talking about this beat up brush that I have, and it has like this, you know, like the hairs are all over the place on the tip of it, and it's hard for me to keep a clean edge. So I'm gonna use I guess the wear and tear of this brush to create like texture, you know. It wasn't my intention, but I'm gonna do it, you know. It's kind of like I'm creating this grass, and I know the painting is backwards. So there was somebody on the last video who told me that by the way, it was so awesome that you're watching us from Wyoming, right? You know what I mean? Like the videos will stay on and you can share them. This is our 6th one, I believe. Every Friday we do one for while we're, stay at home. Normally there'll be people here and we'll be working with people live here in the gallery for free. You know, our classes are free. But it's so awesome that, you know, we can reach folks. We can reach folks pretty much wherever they can get our live Facebook. So I'm just using the hairs of this brush to create this grassy texture, you know. And I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do, right? Like as far as like what am I gonna do with this texture? But I wanted to just, you know, try it out, you know, like, you know, just kind of pull the color and let the brush strokes show. Why? Because I have this brush that's beat up, you know, and this brush has done a lot of good. With this brush, a lot of people came to the gallery and used it, and you know, it's instead of like, you know, discarding it, I'm gonna take advantage of it and say, you know what, thank you, brush, for for helping, and I'm gonna use. So I'm kind of working with it, right? So I didn't plan on this, but I like this texture, so I'm gonna use this brush as a texture, as a texture to create this grassy feeling. I mean, I love landscapes. So maybe that'll come out here, right? That was not the intention, but we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to exploit, or to my advantage, use this beat up brush to create this hairy type of grassy bottom. And I'll flip I know like my setup is different, and I had somebody comment that probably can you put the camera right here? Yeah. Someone commented that I should probably work on an easel, you know, so you can see better. And that was a great comment, and I'm yet to try that. I promise I would try it, at least. But I also want to mention that I'm also painting. To be honest, I'm painting for me too, you know. So this is a two-way class per se. You know, we're at home, we're limited with what we can do, and I can guide you through a creative process, you know, while you do your own creative action at home. And it's also helping me, right? So I'm not gonna, I'm gonna keep it very honest and say, you know, this is, half of it is for you, half of it is for me, you know, to be honest. So I'm just experimenting with that brush, but now I'm gonna try to use a finer brush. So, you know, I have a lot of brushes to choose from. I'll try to choose a brush that's not as beat up as the other ones. All right, so yeah, this looks like a pretty decent brush. So you can see the word there, love, right? All right, so now that I have a different brush, I'm gonna see if I can color in some of these shapes, right? Some of these shapes, they're kind of like half like a diced lemon shape, you know, like a small, you know. This brush is a lot better. It's better quality and it's less beat up, you know. But the point I was trying to make is that you can always make something out of what you have, you know, and that's one of the great things about art, that you can reuse, create. By the way, shout out to Lisa Hernandez from Long Beach with the Creative Depot for Reuse. Her store, I believe, is going online. She gave us a donation last time, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So, you know, so reuse is a good thing, you know, because you can make so many things out of discarded. By the way, this canvas I'm working on was donated by Yayo International out of, he's based out of Santa Ana, but he's from Mexico, Mascota, Jalisco. Shout out to Yayo. Thank you for donating the canvas. Shout out to Keith Lilly. For organizing for many years the free art and music classes to the community. Shout out to Victor Ladd, who is joining us watching the class. Victor is a board member here at the Cultural Alliance. He's our treasurer and does he keeps our status in order. You know, shout out to Victor. Check out his photography. Victor does a lot of things. If you're watching us over there, Victor's type hi or something. So I know you're watching us. Victor is a photographer. Great photography, by the way. He has a company of seasoning for like those of you that like to cook, right? And he is also making, I forgot the name of them, but they're really cool. They're like tabletops kind of things where you put your drink on. Anyways, Victor, shout out to you, man. Keep up being creative, and thank you for keeping Calb working with all the things you do behind the scenes, man. We appreciate that. Shout out to Tony Tomaselli. Tony Tomaselli is the teacher for the class here when we have people live. He does this amazing classes, you know, paper mache sculptures for the most part. You know, over the years he's done different projects like paintings and things like that. But lately he's focused on the sculptures, and that's been a great success with the local community here. They come through and enjoy, you know, oh man, like before the shutdown, a lot of the community people were working on dinosaurs, like dinosaurs, right? And, you know, anyway, so shout out to Tony, you know, for doing that for the community. I do want to say that here at the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach, the people that operate this, we're all volunteers, right? So we do this because we have a passion for our cultural, you know, for the culture, the creative culture, you know. All right, guys. So I feel like I'm just coloring randomly, and so I got to start to think of the strategy, right? I did want to keep this cool painting, like mostly green, mostly blue, right? So that's kind of like the plan. I'm gonna get a bigger brush and just kind of start adding wider brush strokes and see how that goes. You know, I always have a philosophy that if things don't work, you can always paint it again, right? So that's, you know, like this is very loose assignment, so feel free to experiment with the color. Yep, this blue is becoming really dark, you know. Right over this green is like this blue green. But you know what? I'm gonna highlight the letters just because they're kind of getting lost. And I'm using a wet brush now. So yeah, let's see. I probably got to add a little bit of white, otherwise it's gonna stay. Let me get my white paint. Otherwise it's going to stay pretty dark. Maybe get a little touch of white. All right, let's see. Let's just get a little touch of white and see what happens. Oh, it became really muddy. Well, you know, it's kind of like a gray now. I wanted vibrant colors, but let's see, maybe I can use this. Oh, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark. Let me add a little more water. All right, there you go. Add a little more water and it brightens up, you know, because you can see some of the background color. So I'm just gonna run this brush around the lettering just to highlight that so I don't lose the drawing. There you go. There you go. You can see the giant L. There you go. I like that. Now it has, now you can tell, right? Like before it just looked like a bunch of shapes, like randomly. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna make it, maybe yellow will brighten it up, right? Well, we'll see. So I'm gonna add a little green to the next letter. I'm gonna try to create this effect where the letters are changing as they go, but we'll see. Like I said, so your painting, right? Your painting could look the same, different, ideally different, right? But like with the same, you know, guided. So here's my letter O. This is kind of weird because this O took a shape of its own when I was doing the drawing. It just broke the mold, you know? So that's cool. So we have the L, the O, and the V. Let's see. I probably want to add a little yellow. Just want to keep changing the paint, you know. All right, let's see. So as you can see, tonight is just like coloring night for our prior assignment. And what I'm trying to promote out there is like keep working, you know, keep working. You have the guided idea, right? But you keep working, you know, you start, you keep working. When we turn off the transmission, you know, like maybe not today, but like, you know, tomorrow, you know, like the video keeps on, right? So you can pick up this video tomorrow and, you know, and start painting, you know. So don't be afraid to change things in the painting, you know. You know, I have some principles that I'm applying, you know, like blending, you know, blending techniques kind of thing. My main plan is pretty much already executed, which was drawing these letters, right? This giant letters. Right now I'm just gonna color it. But I have a lot of shapes to choose from. Maybe I'll erase some of them or paint over them like I did here with this grassy area. You know, but maybe I'll keep them. We'll just have to see, you know. And by the way, this painting is probably not gonna be done within the next 2 hours, but I'll make a lot of progress and I'll probably have to work on it off camera to see what things are working, what things are not working, and just keep adding, you know, keep adding. Let me get a little bit of the warm colors. This painting mainly is cool colors. But I have to add a little bit of the warm colors. You know, I don't want to add too much of the warm colors, but I kind of feeling that right at this moment. So I'm adding this like thin layer of orange. So it's kind of like the letters are changing color as they, you know, from letter to letter kind of thing. All right, so I like this effect, you know. Let's see. So as you can see, my prior concern with the other, there was a brush stroke here that was smeared. That's pretty much gone, right? And I knew that was gonna happen, so I just wanted to show what happens when you change the color over wet color. It just pretty much the paint runs, you know. And this class is also, you know, geared towards like regular folks who may not have art training. So if you're an artist, you already have some training, that this stuff is something you're pretty familiar with. But again, we're like, this is for everybody, you know. Even if you already know how to paint, you can, you know, join us and paint along. So let me switch the canvas just to show you what progress looks like. So you can see I pretty much like colored in the letters, and you can see the background shapes, you know. Right, you can see that pretty good right there. You can see I use the brush strokes. The brush strokes of that beat up brush on the bottom. Now it looks like it's grass, like this. Now it's starting to look like this word that the letters are pretty much, you know, together. It's kind of looking like a sculpture sitting on a grass, right? Or maybe like broken glass. You could do that if you keep the paint transparent. You can probably color it, make everything look like broken glass. Just keep it transparent. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I'm digging the bottom. The bottom was kind of like this landscape grass area. So now I just thought about something, right? I'm gonna add a warm layer on the top. Let's see, like just a small one, like orange. Orange is very strong here on the palette, I'm noticing. All right, let's see. I'm gonna, just a small section of the top part, it's gonna be warm. So now I'm playing with warm versus cool, right? That wasn't the plan, but you know what? If it works on visually on the canvas, you just keep going, right? You just keep going. The only time we're gonna stick to strict rules, I guess, it's gonna be when we do live drawing or live painting, like painting from, you know, from a still life or from a live person, you know. That's gonna be interesting, you know. That's gonna be more advanced kind of thing. We're gonna try to capture reality, but right now we're, you know, letting loose, just kind of coloring, taking advantage of all the paints and brushes we have here, right? So you can see it stands out pretty good, right? It really stands out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight the letters. It's pretty wet, so I'm gonna highlight with the smaller brush, just kind of like outline the edges. it'll have a visual effect where the shapes stand out more. Well, this is going to be interesting because some of the underpaint is wet, so it may run a little bit. I'm not trying to use too much water, so it doesn't run that much. And it's pretty dry, but it may run, and we'll just work with that, you know. There you go. Just keep working on the outlines. There you go. All right. So you can see how it changed. It's standing out, right? Like I'm putting this kind of like this border here, like this outline. It's pretty much an outline. It was already there with the it was already there with the drawing of you know, with the prior drawing I did in the first session. You know, see, one of the things you want to do is you want to clean your brush because it starts to become muddy. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab something, wipe the water. I'm gonna get a rag, like just an old something you don't necessarily have to clean again. It's like an old piece of cloth to clean your brush. You know, because it's retaining a lot of the old. So that's very important to do. You know, clean your brush. If you want to keep the vibrancy of the colors, you just gotta clean your brush. Otherwise, it'll become muddy. All right. Remember, my under color is wet, so it's gonna have that effect. I'm liking this outcome so far. All right. Send us a picture of yours. See how it's looking. You know, it may be a different. You know, it's supposed to be different, right? But there you go. You know, I like this. Like this brush is leaving like marks on the side, and it kind of adds like lines to it. So I'm gonna leave those for now and see what happens. I'm digging that. It's kind of like music, right? Like if you're jamming, you start with like some principal, you know, sounds, and you know, you just join and keep adding, you know. We're kind of like jamming, right? At this moment, right? I think I probably heard that like from another video, but yeah, actually I did. Shout out to Kenny McBride, local Long Beach artist. He does tutorials. Go to YouTube if you want to learn art with crayons. He's got a great tutorials. And I think I heard that term from him. So I just want to acknowledge, you know, that he says something about jamming with the, you know, while making art. I forgot so I'm not quoting him, but I want to recognize where I heard the term from. Anyway, so we have outlined the letters or color in the letters. So now let's see what happens. Nice. It says Adele Ordinario. Thank you, Adele Ordinario. Shay Brenton says, hey Shay. Shay Brenton, Victor Ladd, Mariah, All right, so check us out. We got this beautiful love. It's kind of looking like a rainbow, right? Like now that I'm looking at the monitor over there, but it's all good, you know. It's all good. I wanted to keep it primarily cool, but man, I just started digging the worm, you know. Anyway, so I have a lot to color. I have a lot to color, and let's see what happens. Just keep adding color. Now I want to bring in a different color. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple, but for that I think I'm gonna have to make it. I don't think I have a bottle of purple, so I'll make a little bit of red and blue. So red and blue is gonna make our purple or violet, right? So that's gonna be you probably already know if you've been painting that primary colors make secondary colors. Now I'm not gonna get all into that, but for now, red and blue are gonna make our purple. All right, and depending on which color, dominates, then we're gonna designate that color. For example, if our let's say our blue dominates, then it's gonna be like a blue, like a purple blue, right? If our red dominates, it's gonna be like a red purple. Well, let's see what happens, right? Let me just mix a little bit. All right, now it's kind of like a violet, like this. The more blue I add, the more darker it gets, like this purple. All right. I haven't added white. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it on the color over there, but maybe I add more blue just to keep the cool. One of the things that I didn't mention is that colors straight from the bottle already have a designation as to their inclination as their temperature. So what does that mean? Like you may have a blue that's already warm blue, you know. If you're an artist, you're like, yeah, I already know that. But, you know, some colors naturally, depending on the type of color, they may already be, they may already have that designation, you know, like not like straight out of the bottle, they already lean towards the warm or cool, you know. I like this brush. This brush is nice and soft in the front, or the hairs, you know, they're very fine. There's a better quality than the other ones, but nevertheless, it could be useful for different purposes, right? Right on. Richard Shumitsu just joined. Shout out to Richard Shumitsu, local celebrity here in Long Beach, California. He is always going out to events. Like in one night, he can go to 20 events and take photos of everything. You know, so if you're local, you know, if you know him, you know what I'm talking about. But you see him, you better say hi or something, because you turn back, he's gone. You know, he's got to go to the next event. So he's done a great job documenting the art scene. He's also a volunteer member here at Cultural Alliance. Does a lot of great things for the organization and the city. Shout out to Richard Shumitsu joining us live here. So this purple color I'm adding, it's I don't know yet. I'm just gonna keep coloring, you know what I mean? Like keep coloring. I haven't added white, so the colors are very dark and strong, you know. But I'm gonna keep it that way because it's already light. Like the background's already pretty much light, right? It's already light, so I'm gonna just add a little bit of purple. There you go. Kind of feel like I'm just coloring at the moment, and that's what I'm doing, you know. That's what I'm doing. I want to get more expressive and just like splatter paint all over this. But at the moment, I'm not 100% sure I want to do that. That would totally change the emotion of this painting, right? You just drip paint all over it, you know. We talked about that last video where we talked about the drip paintings, right? The Jackson Pollock paintings. You know, that's a different style. Maybe we'll do that next time. That's a good idea. You have any ideas, people out there watching us? Leave your comment. What to do next? I kind of want to do something more expressive, like after this, you know, for the next project. So right now we're just coloring, and I'm trying to extend this purple color in various shapes that we're drawing here. Right? It was supposed to be like mainly cool, but you know, that was the main starting point. But like I guess naturally it happened where all these colors are being added on, you know. It's kind of like they call each other. And I have no set expectations for this, just to have fun, you know, enjoy the process. So when you're painting, you want to step back, you want to leave the painting and step back and look at it from a farther distance. And a good thing to do is also blur your eyes to see where the colors blend, where they don't blend. Things that are interesting, you want to keep those. Things that are not working, you want to get rid of them, you know. So far, I'm really happy with the progress. With the progress of this painting. Clean my brush. All right. Let's see. This shape is becoming a little bit too dark for me, so I'm gonna just spread that paint, make it cover the entire shape. There you go. All right, so we're just coloring, filling in the shapes. Some of the shapes are probably gonna get lost in the painting process because visually, I'm kind of just adding, and whatever works, it's staying. Wherever doesn't go, it's gonna go. What I do want to keep is the letterings, you know, I want to keep that because that was our main purpose, right? To put a letter. So that was, as long as we keep that, we're successful. Everything else is just part of the design, the color. Everything else could variate, right? You know, like you already saw me add warm colors. The warm colors took over pretty fast. There's actually projects that where you stick to a palette, like you force yourself to use either warm or cool or a certain range of the palette, like you force yourself to do that. Those are hard because you have to work with what you have. What you do in that case, you add a lot of the white to give it different variations. But like, for example, here's a little bit of white. Now I'm gonna add it to this purple, and you're gonna see what you know, how different it looks. You can probably see it on the camera. It's lighter. Like, let me make this shape right here. There you go. It's kind of, it has a different, see, now it's lighter. It's not as dark because it has white. And you can do a painting on a limited palette where your only variations are darks and lights, and you keep one color. Like if this was a purple painting, in fact, I think I have an example of that. I'll probably show you while I'm talking about it. En el pasillo hay una pintura que es morada. ¿Me la traes para enseñarla? Que es todo morado casi. So I have a painting that is a good example of what I'm talking about. Limited palette. I'm going to show you that painting. I did that many years ago in one of my college classes as a training exercise to, like, you know, kind of learn that there's different variations of the same color when you add darks and lights, right? All right, yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it here, but this painting right here, okay. So this painting right here is a limited palette. I do have red and blue. Yeah, so there you go. It's red and blue. Basically, I'm limited to 2 colors, red and blue, and everything else is white and black. So you can see, maybe I should put it closer. There you go. So you can see this painting is a good example of what I was talking about. Right? There's only blue and red. There's no yellow, there's no green, there's none of that, right? This is very restricted palette, right? There's black and there's white. So this is an example of a limited palette. But, you know, since I started talking about it, I wanted to give you an example of that since I had it pretty handy here at the gallery. But this that I'm working on is not a limited palette. We're kind of improvising and to see what we like. And this is really fun. Like, you know, kind of working along. But it's tough too. Like, this is something, you know, it's tough because sometimes you don't know when to stop. Sometimes the painting might have looked better in the prior, you know, how it looked before, you know. It might have looked better versus this, you know, and those are the risks that you take, you know. All right, so it's looking pretty dark on the purple parts, right? So, you know what, I have a lot of color here on this palette, so I'm just gonna choose some of these colors to outline some of the shapes. I mean, I already broke from my cool palette intention. Notice how I said intention. Like, I didn't put strict rules, and that's what you want to do for this project, you know. If you want to learn color theory, if you want to experiment with colors, you probably want to give yourself a limited palette assignment, right? But right now, this is not what we're doing. Right now, we're having fun. We only had one main guideline to paint a word that inspires you or gives you something positive in these times, you know. I chose love. You could choose hope, peace, you know. Anything that you think is positive and is going to bring greater good to your fellow humans, right? So you can see I started to add this red, but I'm going to keep that red on this side of the palette where all the other reds are. I'm going to try to keep them from so at least I want to keep the cool part here and the warm part here. It's funny because I say one thing and I just kind of break it. Well, you know, I got to start with a principle, right? And then I see what happens. There you go. I kind of feel like this canvas it's gonna lead me to its final product, you know. Like I said, if things don't work out, you can just paint over it, you know. So I have a lot of lines that are still from the original drawing. I'm gonna start outlining them with different colors and see how that feels. There you go. Notice how I'd all right, that red's taking over pretty fast, huh? And it's just like small lines that I'm painting. All right, so we started a little bit late today, but it's a little bit past the hour. So we're probably gonna switch over to our painting, our second painting, and just color that a little bit. And that'll give us time for this one to dry a little bit, and maybe we'll come back to this one. But all we're doing is coloring, right? Today's just a coloring session. We're going to color as much as possible of this painting and also as much as possible of the other painting. So if you were here last week, you probably remember our other painting. If you are new, it's all good because you can always revisit the video and see the beginning process. All right, and all right, so I think I'm gonna take a little break from this painting and switch it over to the next one. So while I let's see, okay, so there we go. So I'll just kind of show this for a little bit. Let's try that. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that there for a little bit so you can see what's happening, you know. The cool colors are kind of on the left side, on the right side is the warm colors, you know, they're kind of taking over that pattern. And you can see a theme there, you know, like red versus blue. But I'm gonna take a break from this. I don't wanna keep going because I kind of feel like I'm just gonna make it all red, you know. So I'm gonna take a little break, and that'll help me help dry it out. I'll clear my mind from this sign, and so I'll introduce, for those of you that are new, this is our next or our second assignment that we did last time, or we started. All right, this was inspired by one of our masks. So, all right. So now, all right, I'll paint this one backwards because I'm just gonna be coloring, so you can see. The progress for this one. I have this idea of like painting light colors, you know, kind of like in the face itself. This is like a sun, right? Like the sun with these rays coming out, you know, it's like a face, like a portrait, you know, like if the sun had a face, you know. We see that in a lot of drawings, right? The cheekbones are usually reddish, you know, like in cartoons or illustrations. So that's why I did that color there. Maybe I'll use some of my prior purple for maybe, let's see how it works on the lips. I don't know how that's gonna, maybe a little bit purple. I'll do both red and purple and just see how that works. There you go. go. All right, so let's add a little bit of blue to our like eyelids, right? Let's see what happens. This canvas is it's pre-primed, but I think it's pre-primed with a different. I don't think it's primed with acrylic. The paint is like, I can see it's breaking away. It doesn't want to stick, but we'll make it work. Thank you to Yayo for donating this canvas and the prior canvas. We appreciate that. Let's see. Maybe, let's see, I wanna, what other color should I use? Oh, okay, I have orange here. I have an orange palette that I can use. So let's, actually I'll put that on the side. So we have a worm a little bit, you know, we're just playing. If it doesn't work, we'll just paint it again, you know. So I wanted to give it this colorful, expressive face, you know, see what happens. So let's see what happens with this yellow. All right, maybe to color the larger part. All right. I'm not worried about going over the lines too much, because this could be like an under coating, an under, kind of like an under layer. So once it dries, I can go back at it and add kind of like mark the colors stronger, you know. You probably do that. I'm gonna do the nose green just to give it a variety of colors. So it's turning out that lately, or in the last few classes, we usually work on 2 assignments or 2 works. 1 hour for one, another hour for another one. And that's probably what you want to do if you're painting at home or drawing. You know, have several assignments at the same time, and you switch back and forth, you know, like if you feel like you don't know what else to add to one of them, switch to the next one and keep doing that. You know, a lot of the professional artists, that's what they do. A lot of the artists in history, that's what they do. Like usually no artists, I mean, I don't want to say no, because there may be someone who only worked on one painting from beginning to end, but most artists that I've read about and learned about and know about work on one assignment and they have another one. You know, they have another one. They are working on another one at the same time, like they go back and forth. And I think what I'm learning is that happens in a lot of creative medias. You know, like you work a little bit on something, you work, you know, the idea is to keep working, you know. So you see this face is kind of getting this very colorful, you know, it's kind of getting all this color, you know. It's starting to look like a clown, you know. But hey, doesn't matter. As long as it's a colorful, happy. All right, so I'll let that dry a little bit and see what happens. But you know what? I'm still gonna work on the. Yeah, there you go. So the sun rays, I'm gonna try to focus on yellow and red, just kind of to express that radiancy of color, you know, and see what happens. Right, so I'm just gonna have a dark background, so I'm not too worried about going over the black, which is a good thing. And now I can speed up the process, and I can always touch it up. So I'm amazed at how fast this is happening, you know. All right. Every painting is different, you know. Like this one's moving at his own, is radiating at his own level, or his own, you know, it's doing his own thing. It's funny because I'm painting backwards, but I'm just coloring, you know, so like the drawing part is done, so I'm just filling in the color. I do want to have a yellow background or first coat for the sunbeams or the rays, you know, because this is a sun, right? It's a sun after all, and that's the color we associate with the sun, you know. Don't stare at the sun, but you can damage your eyesight. When I was little, I did that, you know, like playing around with other kids. I got very lucky I didn't become blind, you know. But it would make your eyes water, and it's like so much radiation, you know. I didn't know any better, just out there playing outdoors, you know. But who knows if kids are doing that now with the phones, you know. I have no idea how much damage even adults are occurring just from being on their phones, on computer. You know, I'm so blessed that I don't need eyeglasses, you know, and I'm very blessed with that. You know. But here's our first, you know, our first color. Let me add a little bit of the orange, and just kind of add like a overlapping orange. Just kind of go in a circle. Give this sun. You can see this is very free, very, I mean, the idea is that we don't have a lot of restrictions, right? Like we start with something basic and just kind of work with it, you know. You know, if you do want to do something specifically, there's a lot of great tutorials out there, and you can look at how to do something from beginning to end. That's kind of what I did with my first assignment with the grid drawing. It was more technical, more precise, you know, different assignments. But, you know, I'm going to try to do different things here, you know. If you have an idea, suggestions, put them out there, comments. You can see the, hola Elizabeth, saludos, hi to Elizabeth. Emmanuel Lemus has joined as well. Shout out to Emmanuel. Emmanuel Lemus, man, we haven't worked in a long time. Emmanuel Lemus is a fellow artist, curates art shows and music shows, and you know. But right now we're streaming live, you know, doing a little painting class. Normally normally I don't do classes like this way. I either do them here at the gallery or in my job as a teacher, like do a painting class. But, different times we find different ways. And, I'm talking a lot, because I know people are watching and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing kind of thing. But if you're working alone, like, you could play music. I don't play music while I'm doing this because Facebook will shut down your video because the copyrights violation, and we don't want that. So, but if you watch this video again, you can, you can play your music and just kind of look at what I'm doing, and you do your own thing, create along, you can do that. David Flores, shout out to David Flores. David Flores is another artist out of Long Beach, California. Oh man. So these are the professionals that are joining, right? The artists, David Flores, Emmanuel. But this is great. We have local community people like Elizabeth. Shout out to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is also working with the ¿cómo se llama el programa de Long Beach Leaders? Or ¿cómo se llama? El graduado ya se lo olvidó. Neighborhood Association, Leadership, programa de liderato, program of leadership in the city of Long Beach that Elizabeth is a graduate of. And Elizabeth, gracias Elizabeth for all your help you've done here at the gallery with us. And she is currently helping out with the next class. I think lo están haciendo por internet, ¿verdad? Las clases. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to get me to join the leadership classes, and I appreciate that. But as you can see, I keep myself pretty busy, always doing things, so I really appreciate the invite. Gracias, Elizabeth, por su trabajo comunitario. David's done amazing work. If you see paintings with the figures with the head to the side, that's his signature, and he's been featured on a lot of works. Like he designed the Red Bull cover many years ago for Day of the Dead, feature at the museum and things like that. So I'm fortunate to know all these people, as an artist and as a community, activist, I guess, advocate. Yeah, that's what it is. Actually, thank you to, to the Long Beach community. Years back, they gave me this recognition of Arts Activist of the Year, right? But I've been doing that all the time. So I was great, I was happy to be recognized there officially, but I didn't do it for that. I was just doing it anyways, and I'm still doing this, regardless of the situation. It's one of the quotes that my son told me when he was maybe 4 or 5 years old. I took him to Cal State Long Beach to paint at studio time. I didn't have a babysitter or money for it, but I brought him with me. There were other artist friends there, and my son says, he says, we're artists. We never give up, And he stand back and look at his work because I gave him a little canvas. And he says, all of our works are looking awesome. And, my friends are all laughing like, man, this guy's like a natural, Shout out to my son. He's 20 years old. My son is in San Francisco, California, at Cal State San Francisco. I'm very proud of him. He's paying his own rent in San Francisco, California. Can you believe that? En San Francisco, le mando saludos a mi hijo, Efren Alexis Luna, I love you. He is one of my joys and pride. And the other Joy and Pride is my daughter. But my son, he's working. He's working at this restaurant while this pandemic is going on, and he's also continuing his second year of college online now with the pandemic, and he's doing it on his own, man. I'm so proud of him, So shout out to my son. He is also a music artist. My son's a music artist, new generation of hip hop artists. That's him. I'm old school. My style is different, but that's my son, and I learned a lot, through him. I learned a lot because there's different generations, and he's part of that new generation. Yep. So this, you can see the sun's kind of becoming very red, Well, it's very happy with this. Makes me think of like, I don't know, like this coloring book type of thing, What do you guys think? You guys are working at home or you're gonna work later? Show us a picture of what you're working on, even if it's not this project, something you're working at home. We got some artists in the house. Show us what you're working on, like leave a comment or a link to your work, David watching us. Elizabeth, ponga su foto de lo que está haciendo, el progreso de su trabajo. By the way, Elizabeth and other folks who are watching, tomorrow we are going to do a music class online. If you want to get the theory part, which I really recommend, we start at 10, but that one's going to be Google Meet. You go to our event and the link is there under events. 10 to 12 is Google Meet Music Theory with Professor Rick Bemis. And after that, at noon, Alonso, who's also a student volunteer here at the Cultural Alliance, he and myself are doing a guided practice. ¿Sí pueden mirar esto? Yeah. No se ve poquito. So we have a chart. We're going to be talking about music. Pretty basic. Tomorrow is perfect for beginning music folks. We're going to do something really basic. We have a nice little chart. Pretty much all instruments, mostly piano and guitar, string instruments. But the key word is going to be the C. The scale of C. We're going to do that tomorrow. Elizabeth, vamos a hacer un ejercicio de la escala de C. So tenga su guitarra lista mañana. Have your guitar, piano ready. Alonso and I were going to guide you through a practice of the C scale, So what do you guys think? I got to let it dry. I think it's becoming a little bit too muddy, but that's okay. It's going to be my it's my first color coating. So I'm going to let this dry. I feel like I want to add more. You know what? Let me add a little bit of white and see what happens. Maybe towards the end. There you go. Maybe towards the end. And just add highlights of white at the end so I don't lose that sense of light. Maybe I should do this, make it stretch out. Very expressive. yeah, the idea for this assignment is to be expressive. Start with a general idea, and then let your expressions and creative flow just, you know, if you feel something, try it, you know. If there's no messing up, you know, like just maybe add dots, you know. As you can see, I'm kind of improvising on the spot. I didn't have a plan to do the dots. It just felt it, you know. It's like, there you go. How's that looking? It's kind of looking like como el Joker, you know, like the Joker with those you know, with those cones coming out. I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? There's a lot happening here. Yeah, I'm really happy with this work, you know. I don't know if it's gonna look the same way next week, but I'm definitely gonna keep adding. And I've been working outside, or you know, like behind the scenes kind of thing, like after we stop recording. And that's how I finish a lot of the works, actually. They, you know, if you can't really finish a work in 2 hours. I mean, you could, you know, but if you're an artist, you just want to do more, you know. And it's okay if you finish, like, if you want to leave it like this and be like, I'm done, that's your choice, you know. I'm going to keep adding. But as far as recording, I'm gonna start something new next week. You know, so if you have an idea, you know, that's the advantage of following, you know, or you know, something you wanted to learn, you can probably try that. Like, shout out to Johanna. Johanna is also a member here at the Cultural Alliance. Johanna is learning music. She's a visual artist, and she wanted to learn something about the grid technique, and I did that the first session. So that's an example of, like, somebody said, hey, you know, I want to learn something, and then we can implement it in the class. You know, so if you have something that you want to learn, you know, this is a great opportunity here. I can guide you through some of those, you know, some of those steps. A lot of color. This middle part became a little bit muddy, or not necessarily muddy, but like wet onto wet mixture. But that's okay, because on the next time when it dries up, I'm going to... Okay, estaré lista, dice Elizabeth, for the guitar. A las 12, Elizabeth, Alonso y yo vamos a hacer la escala de C. Yo lo voy a hacer con piano porque es lo que no hemos hecho mucho, pero Alonso lo va a hacer con guitarra y yo con piano. Bueno, this is our live art class. Let me show you the other one. If you're just tuning in, this is what we did today, right? This is our first assignment. It's our first assignment. All right, this is our first assignment. You can see all the colors there. So I'm probably gonna work off camera, and I may work on camera next time, but as you can see, that's the idea. Just keep filling in the colors and you know. Oh, another thing before I forget, let me show you what I did with the other paintings. ¿Puedes mirar la orilla de aquí? Okay, see, what I did, I've extended, pretty much I cleaned up the edges. If you're an artist, you probably already know this, but if you're not an artist, like if you have a canvas, a good way to clean up the edges, you paint you paint, you extend, you paint on the sides. That way you don't need a frame. I mean, you could buy a frame, and it'll look a lot nicer with a frame. But if you don't have a frame, just paint the edges and make them clean, and it'll look nice when you hang it up. So I wanted to show you that. Here's the other one. You can see I did that here. I cleaned the edges, right? Everything on the side. So these ones are ready to hang, because the edges are clean, Las orillas están pintadas, ¿verdad? Para cuando cuelgue. And then you can put wire on the back, but I'm not gonna go over that. That's the technical part. For hanging mechanism, it's better to use wire. If you're an artist and you're not using wires, you need to do that. That's professional. But it's your work. You decide what you do. It's just my opinion. I hang up a lot of artworks, and the ones that have wire, they usually hardly ever move, and they stay pretty balanced. The ones that don't have a wire, they tend to move off the balance, Anyways, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I don't think I can do much more for today. I just did another coating. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach for allowing us to do this. Everyone behind the scenes with the Cultural Alliance of Long Beach, shout out Keith Lilly, Victor Ladd, Mike Wiley, Richard Shumitsu, myself, Virginia Val. I hope you come back soon. I think she's still in Mexico, but she had donated things before and helped with several art exhibitions. Hope you're doing good. Elizabeth, gracias por su apoyo, su ayuda. Alonso, que me está ayudando, Alonso's helping me here with the cameras today. He's helping me with the music classes. Our music teacher, Richard Bemis, he's excellent, been teaching us for years now. I think I'm going on 2 years of music, and I'm learning like a lot of the basics, and I can teach beginning level music. I will see you next week, Elisa. Thank you for tuning in. Elisa Ledesma. Gracias. Thank you, Elisa Ledesma, Elizabeth Gonzalez, Emmanuel Lemos, fellow artist, curator, Emmanuel. Shout out to Emmanuel. Shout out to David Flores, Victor Ladd, everyone that tuned in, and everyone that's going to tune in next time. Mariah Rogers, Iceman, thank you for watching. Adele Ordinario and Shay Brenton. And if I miss anybody, I apologize. Everyone that watched live, we appreciate you. There's a link on the events, on the free online art class. If you like to donate, there's a link there, but it's not required. Only if you want to. Shout out to Lisa Hernandez that donated last time with the Long Beach Depot for Creative Reuse. They are going online. I'll have I'm gonna find out what their new website is. Materials for creative reuse, and she donated last time, so I want to give a special shout out. Thanks to Lisa Hernandez, Long Beach. Shout out to Yayo for donating the canvas. And I know I'm missing a whole lot of people that helped out. My daughter, that helped me out with the cameras the last sessions. Shout out to her. Your name, yes, my name is Efren Luna. Elisa is asking my name. My name is Efren Luna. I'm a local artist here, curator, art organizer. I pretty much try to stay creative. And this pandemic is not going to shut me down as far as making art or being creative. So I want to pass that positive message to you about love and peace and all the positive things. That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for you and for me, for all of us, right? We take care of each other. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to go live at noon. Alonso and myself, we have a guided music lesson. But if you tune in at 10 a.m., you have to go to the Google Meet. and join the conference class with the professor. I'll leave you with that. Peace out. Peace and love. Thank you for watching.